Hello basketball coaches and basketball players, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training, and today I'm going to talk to you about different strategies that you can use on defense when there's a fast break. So this is when you're trying to get back on defense when the other team is on a fast break. So let's get down to the clipboard and let's check these out. Okay, so first off, if you're only one single player, what we're going to be looking to do is protect the key. You're going to be staying within kind of the bottom half of the key, and you do not want to be able to let anyone to score. You want players to score from outside of that area, which is roughly there. Now, going from there, if it's a 2-on-1, what you want to do is stay close within a couple of feet from the rim. And what's going to happen most likely is this player is going to try and dribble out towards that side. He's going to try and draw you away from the key so that when this player is cutting down, he's going to lob or bounce past it over to player 4 for that layup. One way that you can defend yourself in this type of play is to stay right in the middle of the key when he's dribbling out towards this side. And then the last second, step in. They're in the younger game, in high school, elementary school, middle school, whatever it may be, there's no rule that if you basically just tap somebody inside that half circle underneath the rim, it's an automatic foul. There's no rule like that. So if you can step in the last second and take a charge, you're all set. But you want to stay right in front of that rim so that if he does decide to bounce past it over, because sometimes with some players, it is an automatic thought where, hey, I've gotten this deep, I need to now pass it over. By still cutting off the middle, you're going to be able to steal that pass. Now also, if you're a player in that position, you want to be straight up. You don't want to be leaning over. You don't want to be moving with your feet. You want to have your feet planted to the ground and staying straight up. If you want to try and block a shot and he's going up for a layup, now what you can do is jump straight up in the air with your hands up and you're still in your space, which is now not a foul. At least most referees won't call it a foul. Now this next situation, we have 2 players back on defense, and we now have 3 or more players who are going on the fast break. And now what we want to see is the taller player protecting the bottom half of the key, and we want this player to be, he has to be smaller or faster, and he's going to be protecting the top half of the key. Now some players, or some coaches will say, okay, I want him to protect from the 3-point line and start guarding at that point. But personally, you're leaving a lot of space open now for player 4 to defend. Personally, I want player 1 to be at the free throw line or below it. That way, we can still be protecting the key, because I would much rather have a shot from out here than a shot from in here. So, from there, player 4 is going to be dribbling down. Just as an example, those 2 players are going to be cutting towards the basket from the wing, and then from there, what's going to be happening with those players cutting in from the wing, player 4 will sometimes take a step over to one side or the other depending on which player is a better scorer. But personally, I would rather let player 4 red make the decision first. Stay in the middle, straight in the middle, so that if there is a weak pass to one of those 2 sides, player 4 is able to cut it off. And then when he is cutting it off, player 1 needs to know that's happening, in which case, if player 1 was to miss, player 4 was to miss that cutoff, player 1 is already cutting down to protect the net. And then when this happens, if the ball was to get through, we need player 4 to recognize that right away and to come back and defend the other side. Now, if, for example, he doesn't go and try and cut off that pass, it gets through and he cuts off player 3, we don't want player 1 to be up top anymore. This is the next logical pass. It's called a tic-tac play. At least when I'm a coach, it's called a tic-tac play. A quick pass to 3 would pass to 5, and it would be an easy layup. So what we want is for this defense to now forget about the whole free throw line and have player 1 drop back so that we can cut off that layup. We don't want any layups. So now, if the ball was to be passed right up top, he could take that shot. It's a lot lower percentage of a shot than a layup down low. However, at the same time, with that reverse pass back up towards the point, a lot of the times you've got defense coming back already, and they're able to cut off that pass or at least come back down and start defending it as well. Now, for example, if we were to have 3 players back on defense, we're going 4-on-3 or 5-on-3. We want to create a triangle, and this will be a quick zone defense that we would be running because obviously we're stuck. We may have 2 players who are injured, or they might be on the floor, or whatever it may be. They may be tired and not able to get back on defense as fast, and now we have a mismatch, 4 or 5-on-3. What we want to see is 1 player protecting the top and 2 players protecting the bottom. And we want this to be a tight zone. So unless the other team has some crazy 3-point shooting magic man, we want to protect the key, and we can allow them to take their 3-point shots if they really want to. Now, by protecting the key, we want these players to stay inside or within a foot of the key itself. Now, so that if there was a player 3 who was cutting down, there was a player 5 who was cutting down, those players would be protecting it. We would have player 1, if the ball was up top, he would be playing him straight up. If the ball is out towards that side, we would be having him force that player towards that side that he's on. The reason for this is there's no other help defender on this side to allow for player 1 to stop player 4. So if, for example, if player 1 was to try and force down the middle, you're now creating an issue where player 2 needs to pop up or at least cut that off, where if that was to happen, we could have player 5 playing baseline, quick bounce pass in for a layup. So with the ball starting on this side, we want to force that player over towards that side. The reason for that is now he's stuck, and even if player 3 was to pop up, player 4 is still protecting that line, and now the only direction player 4 can go is towards the baseline. If player 3 was to get that pass back around, obviously our defense may be back by that point in time, but we could have player 4 now stutter step and basically contest that shot, and player 1 would then fill player 4's spot. Now let's say we're coming down and they're coming down on us 5-on-4. Let's say one of our players is still on the other end of the court, he's injured, or he may have gotten pushed over and he's trying to get up, or whatever may have happened. He might be just out of breath and he can't run. Something must have happened, and we're 5-on-4. So now we are creating a box. We don't want to go tight man-to-man or anything like that, mainly because if we go man-to-man, we're going to be leaving a player open to get himself open somewhere else to get a nice, easy shot. So we want to be in a tight box. Again, we want to protect the key. I'm always a huge fan of allowing players to shoot from farther out over getting a layup in a key. Unless your name is Ray Allen or Brady Heslip, I don't care if anyone else is shooting a 3-point shot. Or Steph Curry. That's another name. Don't let Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Brady Heslip, or Ray Allen take an open 3-point shot. None of those 4 players should ever get an open shot. From there, we want to stay in a tight formation around the key. This way, if there is any players cutting down the court, we can cut them off, and we can now, if they were to pass it around, we can still protect, and just keep on protecting until player 3 blue gets his butt back to play defense, and now we can be in our man-to-man defense. Now, I hope that this video helps you become a better basketball team, a better basketball player, and of course, a more successful basketball coach. If it has, hit that like button, subscribe. I would love to hear from you. Also, go check out my Unbeatable Basketball Defense book. It's very interesting. The link is below, and I will see you guys again later on today for the second video of the day.